In today's Leeds news, Leeds still have interest in Fenerbahce star, EFL's Leicester decision impact, and Brendan Aaronson up for sale. Morning folks, Jay here, 7th of March with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a really good week. Thursday now, day before a game. There will be a match day preview live stream tonight at 7 o'clock here on the channel with myself and Andrew Dalton. You can check that out if you want to later on. There will be a preview tab later on today in the video wall. If you click live, you'll see it there. You can check that out. Also, the one a week as well. If you like the channel, if you want to help the channel to grow, we're approaching 26,000 subscribers. So massive thanks as always to everyone that helps out with that. And you can do so by clicking the subscribe button, which should be down here in the bottom corner somewhere. You can click that if you wanted to help the channel to grow. Right, let's move on. Crack in and start. We've got a bit to get through. We are going to cover the Leicester decision yesterday in a bit more detail. Has come out since the initial Sky Sports report yesterday and where Leicester sit in this decision and what's happened and how it affects Leeds. We're going to talk about that a bit. That's the main story. But we'll start off with a possible incoming this summer, and Leeds United reported to still have an interest in Fenerbahce star. According to reports from Turkish outlet NTV Sport, Leeds are said to still be interested in Nigerian winger come fullback Bright Osayi-Samuel. Leeds were said to have an interest in Samuel in January, but instead decided to move for Connor Roberts to solve their right fullback issue. The interesting part here is Connor Roberts and Osayi-Samuel are both represented by the exact same agent. Osayi-Samuel had appeared as a winger during his time at QPR and Blackpool, but since moving to Fenerbahce has been turned into a right back with some success there as well. He's played 126 times for the Turkish outfit and is having what is being described as the season of his life, having helped Nigeria reach the finals of the African Cup of Nations as well. Samuel currently has 12 months left on his current deal with no sign of an extension, either the player or the club signing that one. Leeds will face competition from the likes of Wolverhampton Wanderers or Crystal Palace should they decide to make a move for the player. But the first signallings of a potential incoming player for Leeds United into next season, where he fits in that, I don't know. We don't know the situation with Connor Roberts yet on a permanent move. I'm very, very happy with what I've seen of Connor Roberts so far. But Premier League is a different beast. It's a different beast. We know that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I would imagine there will be some significant upgrading of the squad should Leeds go into the Premier League. No slight on the current players, but we all know the gap between the top of the Championship and the bottom of the Premier League is very small, and then that gap to the middle of the Premier League is quite big. So there will be some reinforcements, I'm sure, needed during the summer. We'll get to that. We're going to do kind of a keep, loan, sell stuff at the end of the season and point out what we think Leeds need reinforcing should they get promoted to the Premier League. We'll cover that during the international break. So keep an eye out for that. Moving on to the main story of today, and it's the EFL's decision on Leicester's breaching, or potential breaching I should say, of the profit and sustainability rules. Yesterday it emerged that the EFL found that Leicester were in danger of breaching their financial fair play rules based on financials received in November last year. The EFL use a calculation where basically after you've submitted your financials, they calculate where you'll be come June, which is the end of the financial year for the clubs. And based on that, they found that Leicester were likely to be in breach of the financial fair play rules. So as such, they were required to submit a business plan to show how they plan on getting back in line before the end of June date kicks in, which would then mean they're not in breach of financial fair play rules. However, Leicester rejected that and decided to say no, they weren't going to submit a business plan. They stated that the rules didn't apply to them because they were in the Premier League last season, and the loophole that was there basically meant part of the financial year this year was in the Premier League, part of the financial year was in the EFL. Therefore, the EFL's rules did not apply. Leicester then had the ruling from the EFL reviewed by an independent commission who found in favour of Leicester and said that these rules actually didn't apply to Leicester in the circumstances that they were in. As a result, Leicester will face no punishment this year. Our clubs in EPL are allowed losses of £105 million per year. It's just over 37-ish million per season in a 3-year period. In the EFL, it is 83 million, which is about 28 million per year. But Leicester were in the Premier League last season, so it appears that they will now face no further action. However, there is some updates on this. The EFL are said to not be happy with this decision and plan to meet with the Premier League to align their rules in order to stop this loophole from being exploited in the future. If Leicester are promoted to the Premier League, they may still well walk themselves into a 6-point penalty deduction for breaches of financial fair play rules whilst in the Premier League as well. Now, according to The Athletic, they revealed that Leicester do still remain at risk from a breach despite the ruling from the Independent Commission in their favour. The Athletic understand that another hearing is expected to take place, with the EFL determined to enforce their profit and sustainability rules and decision on Leicester. The CFRU issued a second separate determination and direction to Leicester to submit a business plan based on financial information that they received on November 23rd, 2023, and an FFI forecast provided to the CFRU. This was not assessed during the initial hearing, but will now be assessed separately, which is important. According to the CFRU submission, Leicester have not refuted any of the allegations that they may be in breach of profit and sustainability rules, and whether the club is promoted to the Premier League or stays in the Championship, they will still face some form of sanction this season, although if they are promoted to the Premier League, it is very likely to be a sanction in the form of a fine. We've seen before, Leeds Spygate situation that cropped up a couple of years ago, that when rules don't exist in the playbook, there is still mechanics to fine clubs. Like Leeds got a very heavy fine for a rule that didn't exist. Whether the EFL can now work with the Premier League, backdate this and get EFL clubs to vote in favour of it to penalise Leicester remains to be seen, but it does look like if Leicester don't get out of the Championship this season, that they could be in serious trouble next year with the EFL. If they do get promoted, they could still walk themselves into a points deduction in the Premier League for breaches of financial fair play in the Premier League if found guilty there as well. It's becoming very apparent that the clubs that finished above Leeds United last season, every single one of them appear to have breached the financial fair play rules in order to do that. Everton, Nottingham Forest and Leicester all being, if not found guilty just yet, being insinuated that they are potentially in breach of those rules. Nottingham Forest ruling is due to be heard in the next couple of weeks. They're likely to get hit with a 6-point deduction. Everton already had a 10-point deduction reduced to 6 points and are facing a second 6-point deduction as well in the coming weeks. With that, Leeds and amongst other clubs who are threatening to sue these clubs for losses of income based on dropping out of the Premier Division as well for gaining a sporting advantage by breaching the financial fair play rules. So there's still a bit of ground to cover on this. There's still a road to run in it, but it's tricky to see that Leeds seem to have played by the books in this situation and been punished for it, where the clubs that have breached the financial fair play rules may end up getting away with a fine and getting away with keeping their status in the Premier League, in Everton and Nottingham Forest's case, and in Leicester's case get back to the Premier League by breaching the rules in the EFL. Or potentially breaching the rules in the EFL, I should say. They haven't breached them till June, but they're on course to. That's the big piece. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, but one we'll keep an eye on and see the impact it may have on Leeds and Ipswich in the division. If Leicester were to get a point deduction this season, all of a sudden the league rapidly changes shape. And then moving on to the final story of the day, and this one relates to Brendan Aaronson, one of the Leeds United exiles whose future at the club now appears to have been sorted out. There have been lots of rumours in the last couple of weeks about Leeds United trying to move on the exiles that are currently away from the club on the back of a poor season last year with Leeds. And now, according to several reports in England and Germany, Leeds United are ready to write off Brendan Aaronson's future at the club and accept a cut price deal to sell the player. Aaronson is having a poor season in Germany and is now just having to settle for a position on the bench, with substitute appearances being the norm for him this season. 1 goal and no assists so far this season in what has been described as an unsuccessful loan period for the American international. Now, according to reports in Germany and in England, Daniel Farke and Leeds United are prepared to sell the player for a reduced fee in order to get him off the books. The report claims that Aaronson has no future at Leeds United and his exit from Leeds has already been determined by the club. The club want to sell Aaronson on a permanent deal rather than walk into a situation where he goes out on a second successive loan spell next season. Leeds are looking to write off most of these loan players, but Aaronson seems to be the first one that the rumours or the news has started to come out that Leeds have made a decision and will sell the player in the summer for a cut price deal in order to get him off the books and move on from him. Again, just a reminder, there is a match day preview tonight at 7 p.m. with myself and Andrew Dalton. You can check that out on the channel. We look forward to the Sheffield Wednesday game tomorrow night before a nice little break for the Leeds players that is badly needed for a very leggy and tired squad after a hectic couple of weeks for them. So you can check that out. As always, thanks for supporting the channel and sticking with me. Again, you can watch yesterday's news video down below there, and there's a little circular button there you can click if you want to subscribe to the channel. You can do all that there. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Leeds news. I'm back tonight with the match day preview. See you then.